Hi, everybody. My name is Chris Hampton. I'm Champ I Am, and welcome to Mink Life University, the Activate Symposium. Oh, this is going to be great. If this is your first day tuning in, you are in for a treat. You want to get the replays, definitely get the replays. Be a part of the community. We'll talk about how to do that later. This is the Activate Symposium, and we're talking today about activating your zone of genius. Wow. Did you know that you have a genius that is unique to you? So we're going to talk about how to activate your zone of genius by using your executive voice. Well, what is that? Well, we're going to talk about that with our guests here today, Monica Henderson, and she can come up. And our second one is Peggy Mcarthur. So let's introduce our wonderful guest for today. And we're going to have a conversation, and you get the chance to be a part of that conversation too. So I encourage you that if you see something that you like, you hear something that one of our speakers are saying, put it in the chat. We want to hear it. We want to see it. This is not just a conversation amongst the professionals. You are a part of that professional conversation as well. So definitely participate within that chat, and we are going to hopefully elevate one another. So awesome. Again, my name is Chris Hampton. I'm also known as Champ I Am. I'm a leadership coach, motivational speaker, best-selling author, global teacher. And I'm your host for today. I'm also going to introduce and let them introduce themselves, because who can give a better introduction than the person themselves? Our first is Monica Henderson. So could you introduce yourself?
Yes, well, obviously, y'all know me, Monica Henderson, and I am the founder and visionary for Mink Life Motivation. That includes Mink Life. Oh, there it goes. Mink Life University, and I am I really am on a mission to help millions of professionals worldwide change their lives and grow their businesses. And I'm looking always to make sure that thought leaders, change makers, coaches, and experts not only find each other so that they can level each other up, but also get an opportunity to learn from the collective. So I'm excited to offer real people with real help in real time to everyone who needs this kind of community in their lives.
I call Monica the connector, and you definitely need to connect with Monica. So all this thing you're seeing is because of her and her team. So our next guest is the best photographer that I know in California, Peggy Mcarthur. Could you tell us about yourself today?
Well, I think I'm the best photographer that I know too, but I'm a little partial. So I've been a professional photographer for over 3 decades. I'm known as the most industry savvy headshot photographer in Los Angeles. And what I do is I take the same strategies and psychology behind headshots that actors use to get roles and take that to entrepreneurs and teach them how to strategically use their headshots to attract the clients that they need. Because after all, your headshots are normally your first impression, especially nowadays. So that's a little bit about me. And I am always excited to be a part of anything Mink Life. So I'm excited to be here today with you guys.
Awesome. The one thing that we have in common is that we are all entrepreneurs. Okay, so we all run our own business. We are the CEOs of our life. We are the captain and the leaders of our ship that we're driving of our lives. So the conversation that we want to have today is just how to activate that zone of genius, and we're going to focus on the area of your executive voice. Now you're like, what does that mean? You're tuning those, you're tuning in. You're saying, what? Executive voice. Executive voice is just a fancy way of how to communicate your vision and your brand. Your vision and your brand. Your brand ends up becoming your voice that speaks before you even walk into that room. That's your brand. Your vision is that picture of your preferable future that you are building towards every day. So that success that you see yourself doing, that is what's before you. That is your vision that you're going towards, and you're going to go get it. So when we talk about that, we're going to expand on that and probably go all around that topic today, and we're going to see where this conversation leads us. So I'm going to throw it out here. How do you express? I express what vision means to me. But when it comes to you being an entrepreneur in your life and navigation, how important is vision? and how important is how we brand that vision? What's that connection? Oh, I have to pick somebody.
Which you?
I think
I'll
you
pick
do.
somebody. I'll pick somebody. Let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny. Let's talk to Peggy because she's like, please call on me. There you go.
Well, for me, I think that first of all, it's important to know what your vision is. I mean, I've done photography my whole life, but why do I want to be a photographer? What is my goal in that? You know, for me, I love empowering people and showing them um, how amazing showing them their true self, how amazing they actually are, and also empowering them to use that strategically to do things. So, you know, just because you're a photographer or because you're a coach or because what is your vision? Why are you passionate about what you do? And how does what you do and your passion apply to other people? And I think when you really nail down what it is that you are passionate about and what your vision is, it's easier to share. A lot of times we forget to really think about what our vision is. Why do we do what we do? Oh, well, I love being a photographer. Well, that's great. Like, so, you know, if I didn't have a reason for it, where would that get me? So just because you're good at something or you love something, that's not a vision. What do you want to accomplish with that?
I love that answer, and one of the things that I pull out of that is a lot of times we get stuck in the what. And we started off with our passion. We started off recognizing that photography was your passion. Speaking and empower people is my passion. And we look at the connector there and connecting people and creating opportunities, Monica's passion. But then what happens is we get stuck in the what of every day. And then we end up staying at a job that has nothing like what we envisioned it to be. So I pull that out of what you just said. That's awesome. Monica, why is vision important in the life of just not just entrepreneurs, but in everyday life?
You know, the vision is really the starting point for any action. If you're living a life that is more pulled by a vision than pushed by pain, and if you don't have this strong vision, you will find that the universe will kick you in the back to move you where you need to go. And that is a painful way to live your life, to always be forced into the next thing. But when you can stop for a moment and really reflect on what is my true heart's desire, what do I really want for this life, what do I really want for my business, and what am I trying to achieve first before you take any action, then it makes it really easy for you to communicate to everyone around you, whether it's the people who are in your business, whether it's the people who you want to be attracted to your business, maybe it's the people that you want to have as power partners in your business. It is so important for you to be able to have such a strong, clear understanding of what it is you're trying to achieve, so that you can actually be able to vocalize that vision to everyone around you. The only reason why any of this is happening right now is because I sat down in a park many years ago and decided that I was going to set out on a course to not only change my own life and make sure that I was living my full oak tree version. I was living an acorn version of my life originally, where I was small and I was not living to my full potential, and I was just existing. And it wasn't until I decided that I no longer wanted to play it small, but I really want to see what is possible for my biggest, largest, most fullest expression of who I am. And I call that the oak tree vision of who I am, where I'm fully grown into the being that God has put me on the earth to be. Then at that point, my decisions on how I lived my life became different. My decisions on what kind of business and how I spent my time really kind of attracting money in my life became different. And how I interacted with everything, literally everything in my life, became substantially different, because I had that moment where I got to sit there and really figure out what that vision is for my life and what the steps I needed to take were to get there.
I love that. And I think the key points that I'm pulling out of that is that vision streamlines what you're supposed to do. And a lot of times when you find out that you have so
Absolutely.
many different things that you're doing all over the place, it's so easy to get pulled in different directions. But if you have vision, even when crisis comes, crisis can be temporary because you're able to see beyond and know that there's a greater momentum that you're moving towards. So, we're talking about the vision, and we said why vision is important. What happens to people when they don't have vision? Listen, my way of doing is just jump in. We're doing a jump in conversation. I'm not going to do this. I don't want to be like, oh no, they think I put it behind Monica, and then Monica's like, I wish Peggy did. Just jump in. Just jump in.
You feel
I'm
Monica
always
and
coming behind somebody
we're
else.
both trying to respect each other because both of us, we're both like,
let me be the mediator. I'll jump in there and say, when y'all jump at the same time, I say, okay, now I'm going to say Monica, but y'all, no. Just jump in. It looks like Monica's going to jump in on that one. So let's jump. We're just having a conversation, y'all.
Yeah. So the question, right. Well, the question is, right, like, what happens when you don't have that vision, right? Or did I get that right?
Yeah. What happens when people don't have vision? Because again, every day, this is the conversation to entrepreneurs. This is the conversation to the people that are running their business, but there's also for everyday people. And everyday person right now is stuck in the rat race. And they don't know why they need to get out of this rat race. They just know they got to get out of it, but they don't know how. And vision is that first step. But I'm going to share, we got to give them the reason why they need to dream bigger and to see bigger and to be able to pursue bigger. Just in the chat, they're already chatting up in the checks. Nina said you don't got no vision, you're going to perish. She just said you're going to perish. Okay. It's just,
that's right.
No vision, you're going to perish.
Yeah. That's the doom and gloom, like dun 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 answer to that question. But the real super practical one is you end up living a life that feels unfulfilled. And I know many of you have heard me on my channel talk about it is your birthright. It is your absolute birthright to live your life that is designed by you, for you, healthy, wealthy, and fulfilled. And if you don't actually know what that is, then you're going to make choices for the problem that's in front of you and not for the direction you're trying to go. So remember earlier when I was talking about you either are pulled by pain or pushed by pain or pulled by a vision. Mm-hmm. Most people live their lives pushed by pain. You make a decision because you have to, right? My car broke down. Now I have to go find another car. Or I don't have enough money for this, so now I have to do something else. And a lot of the times what we do when we're making the decisions from being pushed by pain is we make a really rash decision or a decision that is just to hurry up and get to the next level of comfort instead of actually thinking strategically about what your next step should be to get you closer to what it is you really want. So when I was sitting that day trying to figure out what my life was in that park, I decided I could not be on that I'm just going to make a decision for the next thing and the next thing and end up somewhere completely foreign to me that I never, ever, ever knew how I was going to get there, right? I had a 2-year-old, I was homeless, I had no car, I had $800, I had to figure it out. And getting there was foreign to me. How did I get here? And it was because it was an absolute series of me just making the next comfortable decision after the next comfortable decision, after the next comfortable decision, really not actually living pulled by a vision of what I'm supposed to do with my time and energy. And I've known it for a long time. And most of us do know what our true purpose is supposed to be, but we just are living by those social normative standards that people have put upon us, right? Our parents have told us, well, you're going to grow up and you're going to be a doctor one day, or you're going to be this professional because that's cool to be. Or maybe you just someone said I have to grow up and be married and have a regular 9-to-5 job. And so that's what I'm going to do. Whatever that standard that was put on you, most of us just make decisions based on the standard that someone else created for us. And so when I got into that place where it was completely foreign to me, and I was like, I don't even know, this is not me. This is not why am I here? And I can never be here again. That was when the change happened. That was when I was able to turn my attention to actually being focused on true vision of what my life is. And then I was able to communicate that to people, and they were able to help me along the way. So from being able to actually realize that maybe some of the decisions I made were not the ones that were in alignment with what my true purpose was.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there is just a moment, maybe if I think about that for a second, there are ways that I could actually be working and being able to use both sides of my brain, that analytical side and the creative side at the same time, and that all of my skills and talents are not just being used, but they're actually being celebrated.
Right.
What would that look like? And if people could start asking themselves that question, it's like, what are my talents?
Mm-hmm.
What am I good at? And I wonder what it would feel like if people celebrated the things that are amazing to me. My brain works really strangely, and I work in systems, and I look at patterns, and I'm like a weirdo when it comes to like planning and grids and spreadsheets, and I enjoy it immensely. And I had to actually step into being comfortable with being that kind of a weirdo, right? But what happens is
that you
people
find out
love that.
your zone of genius, and that's exactly what this whole entire topic is about, is being able to discover that what makes you unique is actually a part of your genius gene, and it's a part of what makes you, it's actually there to serve you. But if you don't have an idea what your vision is, you won't, your gifts don't know how to serve you because you don't know how to put them in the right place. Let me throw to Peggy. Peggy, what do you think?
Well, first of all, this isn't what I was going to say, but I'm going to build off of what you guys were just saying, and then I'm going to say what I was going to say. So I'm a big, huge believer in we all have gifts and we all have our zone of genius. I'm dyslexic. I didn't learn how to read till I was 11. I was told I was dumb. You're so dumb. You're so dumb. You can't do anything, like my whole life. And my dad learned how to read the same time I did. He was, in his 40s, and we learned to read together. And I remember once in high school, dark moment, I was really upset. And I told my dad, I don't like you because you made me dumb like you, which is a horrible thing to say. I know.
Wow.
Fast forward. I'm living on my own for the very first time. I'm out on my own for maybe 6 months or less. I call up my dad and I said, Dad, thank you for making me dumb like you, because these smart people, I don't know how they get up in the morning by themselves. Because I realized how to use my brain, and I realized that I don't have a disability. My brain works differently and I do things differently. And anybody that's been around Monica knows that she is definitely a genius in all the rights, because her brain works differently. But I'm sure somebody thought she's weird, but no, she's like, anyway. So I think when we recognize that we all do have our zone of genius, and instead of being told that that's our default, or that's our disability, or that's our, and lean into our disabilities and our differences and push forward and let that expand into our genius, that's where we see the brilliance and the wonderful. But that's not the answer to the question. That was just my little sidetrack.
No, you can't just dump on there. Hold on, Peggy. You just dumped out a lot there. And people in the chat, I want you to jump in here and put your stuff in there as well. You just jumped out and just dumped the whole. I want you to answer the question, but you bring me to a point, because a lot of times we jump into these conversations about vision, and we never really discuss, and you'll make me research this a little bit more in myself, how we see.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what both of you basically pointed out here is that, we all have the gift of vision, but how we see is different. So when and I'll give you an example. When I knew someone was starting a ministry, and they started it in a laser tag. And it was an old laser tag building. So when we went to go into the building, he was seeing things that he said, I want the sanctuary to go here. I want the kids' ministry to go here. I want my office to go back here. And all I saw was a busted up black dark space that was a laser tag in a shopping center. He saw all of this, and all I saw was the present. And what I learned is people see things differently. But
Yeah.
what allowed us to do what we did, the work that we did, was he was able to communicate the vision of what he was saying. But people can't talk about vision if they can't express how they see, because the branding conversation that we're going to have later is talking about how to communicate what we saw and be able to display it. But if you're not comfortable with how you see, and you're trying to see through somebody else's glasses and through somebody else's lens, these lenses right here, and I put on Monica's, I'll be in a whole lot of trouble trying to look through her lens, right? And vice versa. So we have to learn how to give everybody space to see differently and to embrace that. And the world's not really set up like that, because they want you to see it the way they want you to see it the way that they do. But I want to give you space because you just dropped all that knowledge in that one spot and didn't answer my question. So what happens when we don't?
Well, Monica just set that up, and it just had to come out. But yeah, because it's our differences that make, see, you don't want me to answer this question because you keep saying things that are like my soapbox statements, like we all see things different. It's scientifically proven that we all see color different. We need each other.
We're in the
okay, fine.
This is the
all right,
soapbox
I'll answer the
hour.
question.
This is your time to use the soapbox. If it was any other time to be a soapbox moment, Peggy, we don't have the 2 minutes that we normally have during the regular rap session. This is the symposium. If you're checking in, this is the symposium. You're getting down-to-earth, intimate information from the professionals. So if you like what you're hearing out there in the chat, just say, this is real. This is real to me. This is real to me. This is touching me somewhere. And Peggy, answer your question.
Okay. So the other day, I dropped my teenager's friend off at their house. And my GPS had like some weird thing happen. And I'm like, and it was at night, and I don't like to drive at night. And I'm following the GPS going, I know this isn't right. Like, I know this isn't right, but I have no idea where I am. And I can't be more than 5 miles from my house. And I'm like, I don't know where I am. And then it took me off on a street, and I was like, I know where I am, and I am not close at all to my house. This is not where I'm going. And I'm following the GPS for a while, and then it tells me to turn left on a one-way street going the opposite way. And I was like, I have no vision. I need to pull myself over and first of all, get my bearings and figure out where I am. Because I was just trying to survive and not die in my car, turning the wrong way on a one-way street. I had no vision because I didn't know where I was. I was totally disoriented because, a lot of times in life, like we do when we drive, we put that GPS in and we're thinking about other things, and we're just like, turn right, turn left. And we're not really paying attention. We're just kind of following the flow. And that's what I was doing. I was following the flow. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I don't know where I am. And so that's a lot of the times we're either in survival mode, where we're just trying to not go bankrupt or pay bills or eat or get our kids shoes or whatever it may be. And we're just like looking at, I like what Monica said, getting to the next place of comfort. And sometimes when we have a vision, we're not always comfortable. It's not always comfortable. But sometimes when we're in survival mode for so long, we just need a breath. Like, right. Just let me sit here. And so we take the comfort and we get off the path. And then all of a sudden we're way off the path and we forgot where we were even going. Right. So when we have a vision and things do get crappy and they're tough and they're really hard, it's okay because we got a vision. We know where we're going. And we're like, okay, so we got to climb over this really rocky road here, and it sucks. And I just scratched my elbow and I stubbed my toe, but it's okay because right there is where I'm headed. And it's easier to go through those tough times when you're on a path. But when you're just like wandering, bouncing off places, then it's like, where are we going? So
You are
that's
dropping
why
so
it's
many
important
nuggets.
to have that vision.
You are dropping
So
so many nuggets because you have to go back. You have to rewind. You have to rewind because they're like, what does this have to do with executive voice? It has everything to do with executive voice. And the reason why is when you are at that point, guys, where you have been living this rat race for so long, and you were like, just what the world is going on? You said something very important, like with the GPS. You had to stop and say, where am I going?
Mhm.
And some of you out there are in that point of your life right now where you're at the stop. I got to recalibrate. I got to stop listening to the voices that are outside, and I have to decide the destination I'm going. Tag Monica, you're it. I feel you jumping.
So my very fabulous husband is not one to try to drop a bunch of wise words. He's a very practical person, and he's not trying to be a philosopher or a guru or any of those things. But there are a few things that he said that allowed me to understand that this is definitely a person who can navigate my life when I can't do things for myself, and that's why I married him. And one of those statements was that, make a decision when you're sober and unemotional, because when you get in the path and things get rough, all you need to do is just stick to the plan. Every single thing along that path is going to tell you, no, this is not the right way to go. The friction that comes up with things, life happening around you, is going to tell you this isn't it, and you have to actually be able to push forward. And so the reason why you want to stop, take a breath, and make a plan before you take any steps is because it is going to get hard, and you're going to be emotional, and you're going to want to quit, or you're going to go and find the comfort zone. And you made that plan when you were sober and unemotional, when you can see all of the factors in clarity, so that you can actually make those steps in that direction, regardless of how dark it got, regardless of how rough it got. You had that plan, and if you stick to the plan, step after step, whether those steps are really steep or whether they're really deep, keep taking those steps on that plan, and that will actually get you directly to the vision that you had at hand. So, Carrie Henderson, that piece, a little
Let me
nugget
give you
right there.
something to challenge that, Monica, because what's going to happen is that for you people that are organized and you have to have everything in a box, and you find out that you've gotten that, you're sober and you're ready to receive, and now you're ready to receive this vision that you got, and all of a sudden the vision that you received is so much bigger, so much better, so much like almost out in another reality that where you are. So you're in a crisis moment. You finally got your woosah moment, and all of a sudden you're getting this big old vision of your preferable future, showing you that you are running things. You are building things that are better. And right now you're poor, you can't pay your bills, you're homeless, you're out of a divorce situation, you're going through all this trauma, family members just dropping off at like flies, and everybody's like, oh my God. But in the midst of this, something's giving you a picture, showing you a bigger picture, and it doesn't seem logical. What do we talk about? Because I'm talking to two visionaries right here that will tell you. Because I want to make sure that it's not going to be in this pretty little box. Once you got quiet and silent, and then when you start to receive this vision, talk about the vision and the scope.
So here's the funny part. The deliriousness that comes through when you said that, I was like, he's literally out here telling my entire business right now, right? So like all of those, like not all of those things, but a lot of those things are happening to me right now. All of the chaos and all of the crazy and all of the things that are saying, just stop, don't do anything, put this back on the back burner, return to it at a different time, go focus on something else for a little while, and then come back to this. It'll feel better. Like inside of me, everything is saying that, right? This symposium was pushed back 2 weeks because I had COVID, right? And, at the end of the 2 weeks, I was like, maybe I should push it back again. But because I have a larger vision for my life, right? Because I know that everything that I got in that moment of the download, that this vision is bigger than me, and my Oak Tree version of me is substantially larger. And because I know that the universe conspires for my good, and that what is supposed to be of this, it's either going to be a win or it's going to be a learn. But either way, this is going to give me some sort of value in my life. Despite how tired I am, despite how that I have to get up and keep making the donuts, I have to stick to the plan. And in the end, I will be rewarded for all of that work getting put in. Like literally, when I tell you, it seems like every day there's a new crisis coming up. Every day, a new crisis coming up. And yet and still, I'm still here, right? Like literally every day there's a new crisis. And yet and still, I'm still here. We are now live on YouTube, live on Facebook, live on LinkedIn, having a conversation about business. And there are parts of me that are like, a nap would be fantastic right now. Yeah. But my mission and my vision are so much larger than me. And because I committed to myself to have that oak tree experience, them growing pains are just growing pains. But guess what? Scars will happen. And scars are good. And the reason why scars are good is because if you don't make it, you won't create a scar. You die, right? Only way you can get a scar is if you are able to go through something, come out on the other side. They're badges of honor. And so even in this moment where I am desperate for a nap, I could desperately just take, plug out and say, you know what, I'm just going to make it about me. I don't care about all these other people. I don't care about the mission, and just like fall off the face of the earth and cocoon myself. Or I can say, you know what, I'm going to do this anyway, because the vision is huge. It's the desire to help people tap into their zone of genius, because that's what we were put on this earth to do. Is way bigger than the fact that I need a nap right now. I can nap in a few minutes after this is over. Right? I'll show up now and worry about that later.
The great thing about what you just said is also that you get strength from your vision as well. Absolutely. And the reason why we're running low on energy, sometimes I don't have the strength to do what someone else tells me to do. I got the strength to do what I want to do. You'll get things done. You'll get the things done. You'll work 3 jobs if you know the purpose of why you're working the 3 jobs. I worked 3 jobs and almost got a heart attack. But when I realized that I'm supposed to be speaking, I ended up cutting 1 job out, and I was a caretaker for my family. I was able to do all those different things. But my reason shifted. My reason shifted. The workload didn't shift, but my reason for what I did shift. And then what happened was I was able to see opportunities even at the places that I didn't want to be at, because I was looking at it through the eyes of my vision. And now the job that you hate, waking up to every day, was really molding you to become what you saw. The other point that I wanted to bring out was that we talked about the bigness of your vision. And we're going to talk about this because we're going to shift to how we communicate that vision. Is the reason why that vision is bigger than you are is because it's not meant for you to do it alone. And that's the reason why we spent so much time talking about you being able to see.
Where's my handkerchief?
We're about to get into it.
We're going to church right now.
Because you can't do it alone. And the problem that we have right now is that we're stuck on big, because we don't realize that we're looking at it and saying that, oh, this big vision is so big, I can't get my hands around it. It's not meant for you to get your hands around it, but you have to be able to one, see the vision yourself and be able to communicate it, because when you communicate the vision, that's where your help comes from. So let's talk about how we communicate. What are some of the mistakes that we make when we are not communicating our vision?
Me. I'm all about the mistakes. I got this.
Jump in. Is this real for y'all? If this is me, if this is for me, this is for me. If you're still watching, you're still tuned in. If you have a question, put your question in the chat as well, and we'll do our best to answer it. Listen, you're part of this conversation too. So welcome. Hello, Peggy.
So This is fresh. Like, I don't have scars yet. It's still dripping right now. So this is good. So Monica has this amazing conference and amazing things. And I've been fortunate enough to be a part of it and honored to be a part of it since the very beginning. And I kept saying, man, Monica, actors need this, the version of this on the actor side, man, this is, and I just kept saying that and like laying it down and walking away. And Monica's like, well, Peggy, why don't you do it? And I was like, me, I'm a
typical leader response. That's a typical leader response. Go ahead.
I'm just throwing it out there. Like, somebody should do this. This is awesome. And so I was like, no, it's me. I've got to do this. And Monica watched this like grow. She watched the seed grow in me until it came to the point where it was like, it's exploding inside me. We have to do this. And I got to the point where I was like so excited and I was trying to communicate it to other people. And they were like, that's not how actors do it. And I was like, yeah, I know. That's why I said we need to do this. Because nobody else does this. And this is what they need. And Monica will witness, I came to her one day, like all in tears, like, forget this. Like, nobody gets it. Like, they can't get it unless they do it, and they can't do it unless they get it. And I'm so frustrated because I don't know how to communicate this vision, and I can see it all. Like your friend walking into the laser tag, he saw it with lights and sound and lights and bright colors, and he saw it all. And you saw a dark room where kids played laser tag, and it probably smelled like, popcorn or something. But he saw it clear, perfectly, and that's how I saw it. And I was like, how do I get this out? What do I need to do? And I was like, Monica, tell them. And Monica was like, no, you have to tell them. And I was like, I can't tell them. They can't. And so learning how to like literally take a breath and say, what words do they need to hear so that they can understand, so that they don't have to see the whole vision. They just have to see enough to step in. Right, because once I can get them to step in, they just have to see this much. They just have to think, you know what? You're so excited about it, Peggy, and I like you and I trust you. So I'm going to give up an 8-hour day on a Saturday and say, sure, why not? And that's all I needed. And as Monica, as my witness, the person that was but I don't see it, but became my biggest fan. Literally at the end of the workshop says, so when we do this next time, and I'm thinking, we
but that's a good thing. That's exactly a good thing. And that's so, because I ended up being one of my pastor's most valuable players through the year. I didn't see nothing. And I think what you're saying is that it sounds like you were in our conversation yesterday, because we talked about this yesterday as on our leadership conversation. And we were talking about when you are communicating the vision, remember that you are the visionary. You see things from a wide point of view. So you see the back, you see the finished result. You can't give that to the people.
You have to just say, figure out what they need to see and show them that.
I told my wife I was going to be a global speaker, motivational speaker. She's like, what's that? You can't give them. You can't give. Listen, I'm going to start doing some virtual conferences. Is that okay? Out the back room. But I see myself doing great things. You got to start small, and I think the thing when you're talking about communicating, there's a thing, and we're talking about, did you write it down? Mm-hmm. So did you write it down? And did you write it down plainly? Don't write it down like an engineer.
That your potential people can understand. You have to think, what language are they speaking? Yes. Because I was speaking a different language, so I had to do some research. I was like, okay, so if we were to do this, what would you call that? Okay, so this is when I say workshop, this is what you think. So maybe we should say presentation here, and figure out what language people are. it's important that you are speaking the same language if you want to convey your vision.
Because your help can't understand another language. So
No.
they're helping. And have you ever been surrounded by people, Monica, and they're like, I just don't know what you want me to do.
And you're like, I keep telling you.
Absolutely.
Monica's like Peggy actually does that.
So because truthfully, I do it to God sometimes, like really honest. I was telling someone earlier, is like I got for the first conference, I got a like intuitive hit to reach out to preachers. And I literally was like, I don't understand. Like even that universal download sometimes comes down in a language that you don't understand. And so reach out to preachers. What are you talking about? I don't know any preachers. And like, I'm not in the church circuit. And like, what does that have to do anything with business and blah, 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 blah. And then the universe was like, oh my God, this child. Just find people like you, right? And sometimes we, as the visionaries for what we're trying to do, are in reality, all of us are preachers, right? In reality, all of us are people who provide inspiration and motivation, who teach, right? And who are willing to be in the front having these conversations with people. That's in reality what motivational speakers are. They're preachers, right? But I didn't understand that in that languaging just from the universe download. Like the universal, like, this is what you're supposed to do. I'm like, I don't understand that, right? But then when it came back, people like yourself, people who feel like all people need right now is to find their motivation of why they're doing what they're doing, to be inspired by other people in stories and storytelling, and who can actually be able to inspire people in that way, and people who understand the value of community and being connected and intertwined with other people, and why networking is so important, and people who are constantly seeking knowledge and wanting to share that knowledge with people, aka MINK. That's Mink for y'all, just in case you missed it. Those people are your people. And technically, we are entrepreneurial preachers out here, preaching the gospel of like, yes, it is okay for you to be an entrepreneur, and there is a community here to support you. And so even sometimes we get those downloads where we don't understand what they are, and it has to be given to us in a different way. Well, if that happens from the universe to us, imagine what happens from us to the next person who's supposed to help us. What happens to us? And
my name is Megan Sachs. I'm a
and so being able to clearly communicate what the next steps are so important, because otherwise people will be confused. And trust me, I've had my plenty of times where people were confused about what I was talking about, because I was like, I'm going to change the whole world and everything's going to happen. And this is, and you're going to be inspired and you're going to be motivated. And we're all going to be connected. And they're like, okay. But then when I brought it down to the world needs your voice, and I think I have a way for us to be able to do that. What's your zone of genius? Okay, awesome. I'm going to put you with a couple of other people, and they're going to share their zone of genius at the same time. And together we're going to be more impactful. Does that sound great? Yeah, that's something I want to do. Now I have speakers who are speaking into my vision. But if I'm like, this is all going to be revolutionary, we're going to change the world, and then we're going to go into different countries, we're going to do it in different languages, it's overwhelming to have all of that communication coming at them. So now
you build to that with that in mind. So you're building slowly.
What I love is very funny, because I have the bigger vision all thought out already. And when people are like, you know what you should do? You should take this on the road to other places. And I'm like, I'm glad you thought of that, because I already had that as a part of the vision. But when they pop into their one part of the vision and they're able to kind of see like, oh, I see how this is all coming together. And I don't understand all the parts, but I at least understand that this is going somewhere, and I'm going to stay in long enough to figure out where this train is going. That's when you are really being great.
And what you did with Peggy was, hey, Peggy starts, well, this is a great idea. Well, why don't you do it? Because what happens is people are going to see themselves in your vision. It's not a philanthropic. It's not 100% philanthropic, guys. Some people are going to feel the heart of what you're doing, and they're going to serve you. But the reason why they're serving your vision is because they see a part of themselves in you. in your vision. Whether they see it as a one-up or they see it as empowering them to go to another level, they still see a part of themselves in your vision. That's why you don't count it, take it for granted that people are touching your vision like that, because your vision is now it's more than you, it's bigger than you, and the impact around you, you find out that you can do more together, and it's okay that they leave you from time to time. It's okay that people come and go, because you realize that they were there for their piece of your vision, and you communicate like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think that's key. What you just said is it's not a bad thing when people come and go, because they that may be the only time they needed to be there. That may be the only time you needed them, and that may be the only time they needed you. But it was still divine. It was still meant to be. It was still what was supposed to happen. I know when people come into my life and leave, sometimes I'm like, what the heck? I thought this was like a team, I thought this was like a power partnership. How are they gone? Oh, okay. It was. Nothing was bad. Nothing was wrong. It was just a short time that we were supposed to be involved in each other's lives and businesses. And that's okay. And I think people sometimes get hung up on what I do wrong or what they do wrong, or maybe I'm not on the right path. No, just that's where your paths intersection, and then moved on. It's just how life works.
You know what's sad? When leaders and people that are visionaries, this is, we're talking to visionary voices today, is when visionaries turn help into haters. And what I mean by that is the people that were there to leave, and now there's time to leave, they're turning them into haters because you ain't no longer part of what I'm doing. You supposed to be. People don't belong to you. No. And if you understand that as a business, as whenever you're walking through life, that whoever comes in your life, they don't belong to you. They're on loan to you. And when you do that, you treat them with a certain level of value and a certain level of attention, that that they're only here for a season. So I'm going to make sure that we make the best of this season together as we grow our vision and our voice together.
My dad always said, when you borrow something from someone, always return it better than you got it.
I love that.
And if we think of people that way, you're on loan to me. So while you're with me, I'm going to polish you, and I'm going to shine you, and I'm going to give you wonderful things and impart, so that when you leave, you're a better person than you were when you came to me. In return, I'm also a better person for the experience we had together. But if we have that mindset, that I like that you said that people are just on loan to you. If we have that mindset, and we always know that this is something that I need to take care of because it's not mine. I want to make sure that I give it back better than I got it, so that more things will come to me and I can do the same thing. So I like that. That was really good. I like that.
So I was having a conversation earlier today in the incubator with someone who was ending a relationship, and they're amicable. They just decided that, you know what, we're no longer suited to be together. And I said, it's really just like retiring from a job you had, right? No one gets all like, angsty about retiring from a job, right? That the company celebrates that you gave a contribution. Everyone pats you on the back and says, yes, you're on to your next chapter in your life. And if we think about when people are coming and going in our lives, that it is just a retirement from that position in our lives, but that they're on to their next chapter of whatever's going to make them more successful. And you're grateful for all that they can contribute. And it should be a celebratory moment of like, thank God you were in my life. I'm so grateful for all that you gave to me. Then it is substantially easier, like you guys were saying, to be able to not turn them into haters, but turn them into people who know how you felt. One of the things that I always said I would do is everyone would always know how I feel about them, no matter what. No one can leave this earth without knowing that I love them, right? And so even when we have conversations, and you two will probably say it's true. I tell you how much I appreciate you. I tell you how much I'm so grateful that you were helping me with my vision. And why that is so important is because you never know when someone is not feeling appreciated for the value that they're giving your business, that you don't know that. And since you don't know that, it's better to over communicate it than to under communicate it.
I ain't going nowhere for a season. I'm here for a long time. I'm playing, guys. But this is kind of like, okay, I'm Champ I Am, I'm untraditional, and we're dealing with the untraditional flock here. So so I know you're looking at it. If you still can't see that we've been talking about your executive voice, we have a basic foundation course that you have to take to Make Life course, because we are still talking about the executive voice. We've talking about how your vision is important and how to communicate your vision and your brand. Your brand doesn't become anything until you are able to communicate what happens. A lot of times what happens is we have a business and our business does not reflect the vision or the brand that we want. And if we do not come up with the vision, guys, if we do not come up and take responsibility for our brand, they will assign a brand to you. They will call you, you're not worthy for business. You're not ready for it yet. You're a wisher, not a wanter. You're not in this 100. They're going to talk about all the things that you could be or that you're not. They're going to assign a brand to you. They're going to call you the Bobo. Instead of Nike, they're going to call you Bobos. They're going to like, what is that? That's your what's your brand? You don't want them to assign a brand to you, because if you assigned a brand to you, that means they're assigning a worth to you that doesn't match your worth. So I need y'all to look at your life a little bit differently and regain control of what you are living, so that the right people can come in to your life and help you and take you to the next level. Because honestly, guys, there are some levels and some doors that cannot be opened by you by yourself. Mm-hmm. And some of you are on the outside of the door right now, knocking, trying to get to the next level. And you don't realize, because you don't have your 30-second pitch ready, you can't talk about your vision in 30 seconds and 60 seconds. You're better at talking about what you don't have, what you don't want, what you don't like, rather than the life that you want to live. And if you're going to get to that executive voice where you are the CEO of your life, you're going to have to change how you start seeing things. And I hope we're challenging you in this hour that is almost like up. We got like 6 minutes left in this conversation. And we were like, how are we going to do it today? But it just happens when we sit in a place with passionate people that know what we're talking about. This is already in us, guys. We're living proof of this message. So you could talk about anything that deals with business, and we're probably talking an hour on it, because we're passionate about it and we're well read on it. If you're out here and you're not a part of the Make Life community, all right, she gave the abbreviation and threw it in there subliminally. I'm going to have her come back, and I want her to talk about what that abbreviation is, so that people can clearly understand her vision of what she's trying to do, right? And then show how we can be a part of the Make Life community. Our founder, Monica.
Okay, so my purpose, I'm gonna back up a second, and I'm gonna tell you that I got my word when I was 12. So my mission actually started when I was 12, and I did not know how that mission was going to be executed or what was going to happen in my future. But I knew that at the age of 12, that I wanted to be a muse. And for those of you who don't know what a muse is, it's a source of inspiration. And that mission has driven me to create Mink Life Motivation, because I wanted people to be motivated, just get motivated to do something. Because I sat around when I was not able to use my words and I was not able to use my own voice, I sat around and listened to adults spew all of their regrets. I wish I hadn't have done this, and I wish I could have done that. And that motivation to do something different is the first step to you being able to have a life without regrets. I wanted people to be inspired, because without inspiration, being able to stay encouraged and stay moving and staying forward, it's really hard for you to stay in it when it gets dark, right? When the times get hard. And so we always want people to stay inspired. We want people to keep networking because we cannot do this alone. It takes a village to raise a child, but baby, oh baby, does it take a village to raise a business. And if you are doing it by yourself, you shouldn't be. You need to be connected. You need to be working with other people to help you grow in your business. And the last piece is you need to gain knowledge, because there are a couple things that we know. We know what we know, and sometimes we know what we don't know, right? But it's what we didn't know we don't know that is the devil in the details. And so being able to have a learner's mind and being able to actually speak to people and learn from people, hearing from their experiences, reading books, taking courses, being a part of collaborative experiences where you're able to continue to gain knowledge, not only about yourself, but about business and about branding and about networking and about all the things that we have to kind of embody or incorporate as we walk through our own visions of our lives. Why those are so important. So MINC stands for get motivated, stay inspired, keep networking, and gain knowledge. And the life is you deserve, it is your birthright to live a life that's designed by you, for you, healthy, wealthy, and fulfilled. And how we do that is by connecting you to thought leaders, change makers, coaches, and experts in a community where you get to have real people talking just like we're talking right now, helping you in real time. Real people, real help, real time. That's what we do here. And if you are feeling as though I'm so tired of carrying this load by myself, I'm so tired of having to do all of the things by myself, I can't see what's up. Let us share that load with you. Let us help you help yourself through what you are going through in your own business and your own life. You absolutely need to make sure that you have a village. And if you don't take ours, because our village may not be your village, but if you don't take our village, take someone's. But if you want a space where you're able to actually connect with real people in real time, literally in real time, we're on the internet all the time, helping people all the time, because we're global in 24 hours. So please don't hesitate to come to the lectures, come to the symposiums, try out our Mincubator, and really be a part of a community that is here to serve you and here to support you. And that we want you to give us advice. We want your expertise because your experience has value as well. So that is what Mink Life Motivation is about. That is my vision. I hope I have used my executive voice to establish that clearly.
Awesome. And that's how you explain your vision and communicate your plan. Just like that. Well, this is my first time moderating. I hope I get a chance to come back and talk to y'all again. I didn't totally do the way we do it, but we put the chant spin on it. I mean, we put the chant spin on it, and I know I might have went off praying a couple bit, but forgive me. But I gotta be who I gotta be. But this has been a great hour, guys, and I love the fact that when we get together, you're going to get authentic, genuine, transparent conversations by everyday people. When we say everyday people, we're just like y'all guys. We put our clothes on the same ways. We're on our way to making our million, billions, trillions. So we are going to make it, and we're going to show you how to make it. And like she said, if you don't have a village and you're doing this by yourself, this is a safe place where you can grow together. I'm a witness to that. And your life is going to be changed by the people in this community. This is a global community. This is not just local. Yeah, I'm in New Jersey, they in LA, but they got Africa. We got China, where we at? We got Russia. We all over the place. We are name the country. We somewhere in there, and we know somebody in there. London, England. We got the London, England troop that's there. They're way exciting group of people, but they're worldwide.
Yep, Australia, South Africa. We're getting a stronger contingent in South Africa, actually coming in quite strong these days. But with Canada, can't forget our northern neighbors, and a lot of people from different parts of the UK. So we are Scotland. We're branching out all over the world.
And little old me from New Jersey, but. I am actually going to be just talking about our class tonight, and I will be the host professor, champ, and we'll be talking today about releasing the everyday leader. If you are talking about getting your vision out and how to help people see you as the leader that you are, then you want to be on that conversation when we talk tonight. It is 4 p.m. I can't never say Pacific. I'll be like specific time, but PST time, and it's 7 o'clock Eastern time. And I would love to have you in that audience as a part of that conversation where we can talk about everyday leaders like you. So we have run through another hour of the Activate Your Genius, and I hope that you have been challenged to change and to redirect your vision and your voice so that people can hear it and put their hands to it and grow it together. I want to thank our co-host and our speakers and our panelists today, Monica Henderson and Peggy Mcarthur. We give you the Mink love. And we just thank you for another episode. We thank you for your time. It's not wasted. And hey, if you like this, like and share it with somebody else, because we may be able to open someone else's eyes so that they can communicate their vision too. Thank you.